3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Welcome to segment 2 of Grok Talk for January 3rd, 2015. I can say the year right, but when I write the year, I bet you I'm going to get it wrong all week, because I go to work and I write the date, I don't know, 1,500 times a day. So
don't we all?
It's still 2014. Oh, it's still 2014. Oh, man. Welcome back to Grok Talk. Thanks for tuning in and listening if you're on the podcast later on. iHeart, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, also on YouTube and Ustream. And again, thank you to the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers, without whose generosity we would be doing this from someplace else.
Probably Liberty Studios up north.
Well, I already told you that wasn't going to happen. We'd have to do some technological mumbo-jumbo. And
So what else is new?
It might be broadcast from there, but we would be all over the place. So, anyway, thanks again to Guy Comtois for coming in to do his legislative update. Of course, Susan Olson's still with us, doing our 2A thing, and we're going to move on to our next segment. We have Brian Demjanovich with us, and rather than try to explain why he's here, I will let our guests describe the context, and then we'll go into details.
Well, you know, it's interesting that Guy actually gave us the lead-in when he says that when we have legislators saying one thing and doing something else, perhaps misrepresenting themselves philosophically into what they absolutely end up doing, I think that may be the whole focus of the situation in which Brian finds himself. Now, those of you who saw his video from, early in the fall maybe, huh? Mm-hmm. When he was talking about finding himself the target of a lawsuit by New Hampshire GOP chair Jennifer Horn, who is suing him for a deck that he didn't build that fell into her pool and damaged it. And it would seem, when one looks at the documentation, that after having not spoken to Mr. Demjanovich for 6 years following the construction of the pool and whatever else happened around the pool, she files a couple of claims with Brian's insurance company to get some work done. And these insurance claims are denied, which insurance companies do anyway, but perhaps in this case, rightfully so. And because the insurance companies didn't cough up money to fix the problem, Ms. Horn turns to now re-elected Hillsborough County Attorney Dennis Hogan, or is it Brian Hogan? What's his name? Dennis Hogan, to file a lawsuit against Mr. Demjanovich and his company for something for which he is actually not responsible. Now, aside from allegedly supporting small businessmen and doing the right thing and following the law, it seems that this is a lawsuit that probably shouldn't have happened, but because it has, when one is involved in a lawsuit, and one is certainly the plaintiff, there are timelines in any lawsuit that must be followed in order for things to continue in the proper fashion and end up one way or the other, either in front of a jury, in mediation, or dismissed. Well, in the lawsuit, the state of New Hampshire Judicial Branch issued the structuring conference order earlier this year, and as is the case in a lawsuit, each side is allowed to ask questions of the other. They're called interrogatories.
Discovery.
Well, not yet. Not yet. That's part of discovery. Mm-hmm. But the interrogatories that each party was required to submit to the other were due on the 15th of November. Okay? Fine. Both parties
They
complied
gave me a
with
bunch
that.
of questions to answer. I had to answer them all, and I got them all in like I'm supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then each party is given 30 days to then respond to those interrogatories. Okay. It seems as though the plaintiffs failed to respond to Mr. Demjanovich's interrogatories, and on the what date is this? Rather than wait for Ms. Horn to take her own sweet time or not to respond to the interrogatories, Mr. Demjanovich's attorney has filed a motion for conditional default, which says that the plaintiff in this case is in default by not following the court's rules and regulations. Now, all of that being said,
I still haven't got a response.
well, even beyond that, Brian, why is this happening to you? What? I mean, is it just that the insurance companies wouldn't pay up, and she comes to you for money, or what's the deal here?
Well,
in your opinion, what's the deal?
In my opinion, and I don't know their situation, financials and stuff like this here, but I have seen Jennifer Horn on the news, something to do with Channel 9 was saying that she was had some type of checking account and she could spend money for certain things, and then I guess she may have wrote out a few checks for herself, because I understand that they may be heavily in debt over something. But that was all over Channel 9. A couple of weeks later, you see Jennifer Horn on the news. She's in a soup kitchen passing out food to the homeless and stuff like this, So everybody looks at her like, oh, she's doing good to the community. But other than that, I didn't see any repercussions happen. But when I was there working on the job, I saw a lot of companies, construction guys, come in and they were terminated. Basically, I don't know what all the reason was, but they would do a certain amount of work there, and then the next thing you know, they're gone and somebody else is picking up the pieces where they left off. And my own experience working on the job was seeing this and also communicating with them, because the whole attitude on that job was they point and you do. They point and you do.
Well, that's not unreasonable. If you've hired someone to do a job and you expect them to do the job, and you're paying them to do the job, that's probably not unusual. But in this particular case, okay, because you've shared with us the documentation throughout this process, that the short version is that you're being sued,
right,
because water leaked out of her pool 6 or 7 years after you left the job.
Well, exactly. What happened is
And how could that happen? How could that water leak?
The only way you can lose water in a vinyl liner pool would be there has to be a hole in the liner. Otherwise, they stay full. It's just like this cup of coffee right here. This cup will stay full for days and weeks. But if I poke a hole in the bottom, the water level is going to drop and it's all going to leak out. In Jennifer Horn's case there, Bill and Jennifer Horn, I suspect that there was a hole in the liner someplace. I don't know if they ever had a diver or anybody come in and actually do a inspection of the liner.
Did you do any inspections of that liner?
No, actually what happened is when this pool got done, they owed me a lot of money. And I kept trying to get my money because they never had me open the pool, inspect the pool, never heard another call or anything from these people here. And all the time they were holding like well over $6,000 of my hard-earned money that I was entitled to, and they just wasn't paying. And this went on for a number of years. I'm trying to collect my money from these people here who say, oh, we want to do business with small business people. We want to help out the community, you see, but which are all really a bunch of crock. That's actually what it was. But the only way you can lose water in a swimming pool, the only way without actually pumping it out, is you have to break the membrane, the liner being the membrane. So in her case here, it was toward the winter time, and I don't know who she has hired to close that pool or winterize the pool or whatnot, or even if it was winterized. However, this particular season, it was well into the well into the freeze, so there was several inches of ice across this pool. Now, ice is heavy, too, and the pool is 40 feet by 20 feet wide. Now, I want you to picture, say, 8 or 9 inches of ice. This here probably weighs like 20 tons, so spanning the pool. Now, this is frozen, stuck to the side of the pools, and it's stuck, the cover that would go across the swimming pool would be frozen into the ice. Now, if you drain...
In the pool?
Yeah, there'd be... See, ice floats.
Yep.
It won't sink, so ice always floats, and it needs the support of the water to stay floating. But if you have a cover across the pool and it dips into the water and it freezes, it actually freezes into the ice. Now, if you get 20 tons, 40,000 pounds of ice spanning 40 feet across the pool, and you drain all the water out from underneath of it, all of a sudden you're either going to get a warm day or something like this, and the ice is just going to go pow. I mean, that's really, really heavy. This particular time, too, there was an earthquake that took place from Maine, and I mean, I felt it in my living room, and it went all the way down. There's a fault line right down through Nashua, very close to where the horns are, too. So I suspect that the pool was leaking. It wasn't checked for leaks ahead of time.
Did they call you and ask you to come and check?
No, they've never ever contacted me whatsoever.
When you owe somebody $6,000, you don't call them.
Well, now, to be fair, Brian,
yeah.
you had to threaten him with a lawsuit to get that money. Is that right? A year
absolutely.
or so
I had to put a lawsuit in motion to get the money. In fact, she was running for election or something at that time, and she was on Channel 9.
She was running for the House.
She was running for the House.
U.S. House.
Yes. So what I did, and then I heard her say, "Oh, we support small businesses in the community, and we want to promote them, and we encourage people to work with small business." Well, when I saw that, and I know that I'm a small business, I mean, that was a slap in the face, and it was a big, bold-faced lie is what it was.
And all the construction companies you were talking about before, these are all small businesses, mom and pops, coming in and out that she was basically terminating after doing a little bit of work,
They would get some work, and next thing you know, they're down the road.
Yeah.
And so what happened here, I says... I had enough because I had been billing them. And I mean, I wasn't even billing for everything that I had done because they got an awful lot of work out of me that I'm entitled for pay, and I've never get paid for that. I didn't.
Why would you do that? Why would you? I know you're a nice guy.
I'm going to tell you why. Jennifer Horn promised that she would put her personal endorsement on my work if I do this and I do this. So I had discounted the cost. I did a lot of extras and stuff, but my payment was basically in the form of a personal endorsement because I know that she was an important figure in the community and stuff like this. And I mean,
was she doing a radio show then?
Yeah, she was. And she said she had a lot of listeners and stuff like this. And she says, you do this. And she says, I got a lot of followers. Once I put my personal endorsement on your work, Brian, she says, you're going to get all kinds of calls. You're going to get a lot of business. But, an average in-ground swimming pool is upward of $20,000. Okay,
not cheap. So
if I could move 4 or 5 pools because Jennifer Horn says, hey, get Brian, take a look at our pool and see the work that's done. And, they hired me, and I did the very best work that I could possibly do up there. And the pool itself was absolutely perfect, state of the art. It really was. And I knew that they would be entertaining hundreds of guests because Bill said, I want this area to have a big house with a big patio, a changing room, all this other stuff, because they have a lot of pool parties, a lot of guests. Yep. He said, sometimes we'll throw parties, and there'll be 150 people here.
Yep, and Granite Rock was at one of those.
Did you go swimming?
No, not with electronics.
But
at one of the stakeouts that were held at their house.
So I'm thinking, right, I mean, how good does it get, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to be working with celebrities and stuff like that. I mean, I actually wanted a showpiece. So I was under a contract with the Horns, and the Horns were under a contract with me. And the pool, in the early stages, was designed to have a concrete patio, a one-piece concrete patio. And she actually signed a contract with Triad, which is an associate of mine. And they do beautiful work. I'm telling you, these guys are like the patio gods when it comes to putting work. They really are. They're a wonderful, wonderful company, and they're big. They employ about 100 people. So based on, and this was very important, and it was explained in the Horns that, what type of patio they're going to do, if they're going to have a cantilever, non-cantilever, one piece, because it all makes a difference when you're doing the engineered part of the pool and you're building it up to ground level to receive a patio. The pool needs to be built and designed a certain way to handle a concrete patio.
Did you design this for a concrete patio?
Well, yeah, it was agreed because she actually signed a contract with Triad to have an aggregate patio, which was a concrete solid piece, so that therefore the pool would be built up and compacted, and it would have deck bracing and so forth around the pool, and then there would be a wire mesh that goes around the pool and a certain bond, and the bonding's the electrical aspect of the pool that gets attached to the pool, but then it has to be attached to these wire grids. Triad came in to lay the patio down on his pool.
Is that after you were done or before you were done?
Yeah, the pool was 100% done. When I pull off the job, it's really 100% done, meaning without a patio. Because the
was
patio
there water in the pool when you left?
Oh yeah, they were using it, swimming, and the filter was running, and everything.
Without a deck?
You don't need a deck to have a pool. I mean, some people put wooden decks, some people just put flagstones around. There's no rule or regulation or anything that says you actually have to have a patio. Some people may just put little blocks that go around the pool. But if that's the case, the builder needs to know or keep in mind the design of this pool, what the homeowner intentions are. Well, her intentions was to have a concrete patio. But when Triad came in, she actually ordered them off the job. I guess he had talked to one of the contractors that was working there, just trying to, because she had other projects going on the property where they were going to need a concrete truck to come in and pour a foundation, like a footing for an addition they were putting on their house. But Dave, he's pretty good about foreseeing things. And he says, hey, if you need to get a concrete truck in here, I'd suggest you try to do it now, or I could hold off on the job a little bit so that you're not kind of painted into the corner, because once this patio was going to be down, there's no way to get a big concrete truck in the backyard. Well, Jennifer didn't like the fact that he spoke to one of her contractors without her being there. And she was irate, and that was the excuse that she told me to fire Dave and Triad. Well, she did, and then because the pool they were using it, and I tried to ask her, who's going to do the patio? She said, well, we have somebody else. I said, well, could you at least give me a contact information or something? I said, it's important that we talk and communicate together what's going to be done. She says, well, I don't know the name. She says, my husband Bill's got the name. I'll get it to you, she says. But she never did get it to me, and I made several phone calls, and they just wasn't sharing that information with me as to what was happening.
So here we are. Here you are in
Right.
December of 2013, and you're served with papers by the Horns for a pool that failed because the deck fell in.
That what happened is she hired somebody else to come in and do a paver patio around the pool. And they put these blocks all the way around the water's edge. Well, the pool wasn't designed for that, okay, because it has deck bracing and different things. And I don't know the company who she hired to do this work, but what they did is they put some plywood down or something around the pool, and then they kind of glued these blocks on it all the way around the edge. And at another time when I had to come down there to just to start that system, I had seen that they had already started to lay these blocks around the pool, and I says to her, I says, what, this here was supposed to be all a solid piece. She says, well, we can get pavers for the same price. I said, well, your pool wasn't designed for pavers. And I says, the other thing, I says, have you got an inspection on the pool? Because the electrical part has to be inspected when this wire mesh is down. Well, they didn't do this, and this company had already laid about 6 feet of patio all the way around. This is like 20 feet by 40, so there's literally over 1,000 square feet of patios, all pavers laid down in the ground, that had to be all removed so the electrical inspector could come and see the bonding, the wire. And then they started to blame me for this. They said, well, listen, I had asked you to give me the information, whoever's working on the pool, so that we can coordinate together. I mean, my electrician comes in, he bonds the pool, but the pool's not ready for an inspection until the patio guys come in and they do their things and attach the wire to theirs. Then the inspector comes in. Well, she circumvented all that. But what's worse is these blocks were setting on plywood. And when I went down to the job and I was walking near the edge of the pool, they were rocking. And I was saying, this is not good. These things are going to be falling into the pool. And some of them was all broke and chipped around the edges. It was brand new. When they were a soft paver, they were very brittle and very,
like sandstone.
Yeah, they were inexpensive. I mean, you can get some pavers, you can hit them with a hammer, and those things won't break. And then you get some pavers, and you just go up there and just tap them, and they break. So it was really a low-grade paver. But the thing is, they were rocking, and these people, they never poured a skirt around the pool. So they would have had to pour a cement skirt all the way around, like dig down, perhaps 18 inches down near the pool and maybe 8 or 10 inches out. And go completely around the pool. I mean, I got pictures and stuff of how it's supposed to be done when you're going to do a paver patio. They didn't do that. So I never heard a word from these people, and all of a sudden I get a call from my insurance guy and says, hey, the Horns filed a claim against your insurance. And I asked for what? And they said the pool's got a lot of damage, and they said it failed, and they said it was all workmanship. It wasn't my workmanship. So what I suspect is these pavers and stuff has been falling into the pool and perhaps poked a hole in the liner, and then when the whole pool froze, the water was leaking, and you have all that ice suspended, and all of a sudden, maybe the earthquake or maybe just a warm day or whatever, and the ice just went pow, and it went down, and it was locked into the cover, and it dragged all the pavers and everything into the pool.
Have you
Crashed down. Now, I haven't seen the pool, but they're blaming me for the damage. Now, see, that pool was perfect. I didn't put that patio on that pool.
Well, when you came on Grok Talk for that interview, didn't you ask if anybody knew who built that deck to get hold of you? Did anybody contact you?
Yeah, nobody's contacted me. These guys haven't shared. One of my first questions I asked her in the interrogatories, I want to know who worked on the pool. I mean, really.
So you don't know that yet. They haven't answered.
Don't know who it is because they failed to answer, and here we are. We're in the second. What is it? The second or third day? Third day of January.
It's third day of January.
So
it is.
I mean, the very, very latest that they possibly could have received my interrogatories would have been the 17th of December, and that's
you mean November?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
They had to respond in December, which they
They had to respond in December, but they didn't. But in November, I mean, really and truly, I think they had them on the 14th is what I think. But if you had snail mail or whatever, and today I understand that when attorneys are dealing together, they can use email because it's instant, it's quick, and, there's been modifications. So her attorney, I would suspect, would have got them instant, and then the formal hard copy, the paperwork would have went through the mail, but they wouldn't have got them any later than the 17th.
And that would have been Dennis Hogan, who is the county attorney.
Well, and let me ask you.
Well, you know what I feel? I feel like I'm being sued by the state of New Hampshire is how I feel, because here we have her in a house chair. Here we got the county attorney. Did you know? I guess in the state of New Hampshire, county attorneys, it's illegal for them to represent any private businesses at all.
Actually, only some are prohibited. The Hillsborough County attorney is not prohibited from private practice.
So basically, it's like the state suing me. I mean, I feel like an ant fighting a jolly green giant, even though I'm fighting lies. And even if I go in and I point all this information, I have it all right here. I can prove that it's not my fault. Guess what happens?
Yeah. Now,
I still have to pay my attorney fees and everything. Yeah. I'll never get that money back.
Now, you asked a whole bunch of questions in these interrogatories.
Oh,
Did you get any of those back? Any answers whatsoever?
Nothing. It was like talking to that door over there. I'm telling you, I got nothing back.
Wow.
Right. Wow.
So we've got, and this is a bigger concern. I understand that this is
it's
horrible.
stressful. It's stressful.
Stressful. I understand that, but
this is my vacation time. I'm spending my vacation time worrying about a lawsuit that's like a malicious lawsuit. Don't pin this on me. Go after your patio guys.
Well, maybe they don't have.
They're the ones that broke the contract.
But a bigger point here, and I think Mike is the one that pointed this out to me, is the fact that we have here a law enforcement officer of the state of New Hampshire. I'm gonna let you go with that.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I was about to say is she's really being sued not by the state of New Hampshire, but by the Republican Party of New Hampshire, that party which says it is the party of entrepreneurship and small business. Because Dennis.
You mean he's being sued?
Yeah, yes. Because Dennis Hogan is a Republican, and Jennifer Horn is a Republican. So this seems to be a party affair here, and not a savory one.
Well, how can a county attorney who's charged with upholding the law, and this is me,
attack a citizen?
But if the guy has read the documents, okay, if he's read the documents, I read them. I'm not an attorney. I've read the documents, and whoever built this deck or somebody else is responsible for the failure of this pool. So if this attorney knows that this could not have happened in the manner in which it's described in the lawsuit,
right?
What does that say? Now, I understand all lawyers think their clients are innocent, or maybe they all think they're guilty and they do it anyway.
2 minutes.
But the point is, how can the chief law enforcement officer of the county of Hillsborough now,
with clear conscience?
Well, I have a question, and it really comes down to...
Plus, he's getting paid $80,000 more or less to do the job.
The question I have is if none of the interrogatory questions were answered by the person bringing the suit.
Right.
This is a complete bluff. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on Granite Rock or on Grok Talk or anywhere else. But, if you're bringing the suit, you know that this is going to come your way. And
but you've had Christmas.
But you
and the platform convention. And New Year's.
But wait a minute. It goes back to what you said to a degree about the malicious suit.
Yeah.
If you're not even going to bother to answer the questions and you bring a $65,000 suit, isn't this a big bluff waiting for them to wait for you to crack?
What does that say there at the bottom, Skip?
Notice to Brian Demyanovich, your Pool Pal LLC. If you do not comply with these requirements, you will be considered in default and the court may issue orders that affect you without your input.
Sure.
What about the person bringing the suit?
The plaintiff.
To me, it sounds like they were out for the money, and when they saw that you weren't going to lay down, and do nothing, that you were going to fight this, they went, oops.
Well, now, isn't that maybe why they went to the insurance company first instead of contacting
Well, they went to... I had two insurance companies throughout the years, 'cause I stick with them. And I've never, ever had a claim.
Can we come back?
And guess what?
Yes.
They went, and both of them denied. So then they're coming after me. I don't know if they're going after patio guys or who else they're going after, but I know that I'm getting the blunt of this, and it's not righteous. It's just not justifiable. It's not honor. It's a bold-faced lie.
All right, well, we're out of time, Mike. Sorry. It's the end of the segment. And, Brian, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
We'll try to get you back in and see if we can squeeze some more of the story in there. Clearly, there's more to talk about. This is Grok Talk, blah, 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 as we screw up the segment by clicking the wrong button. I'll be right back. What? Go ahead. You can talk.
No, I'm done.
You're done?
I'm done.
All right. We'll be back with Max. Stay tuned.
Senator Jeanne Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by SaberPac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jeanne Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jeanne Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jeanne Shaheen she's made healthcare worse. Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Custer still supports it. Call Ann Custer. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.